Hey, welcome to the show. As you can tell, Tommy's away on a video games live tour, but our good friend Jeff Keighley is back. We've got lots of great games
to talk about.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Lots of cool games, lots of mechs, lots of cartoons.
And some crappy games.
And some crappy games.
Exactly.
But there's some good ones. Today on Reviews on the Run, Jeff and I are taking a look at Armored Core 4, Earth Defense Force 2017, Arthur and the Invisibles, and at Versus, it's Meet the Robinsons against TMNT. Some of the games we look at on Reviews on the Run are intended for a mature audience. Please pay attention to each game's ESRB rating. All right, the first game we're going to talk about is from Sega. It's out there for the PlayStation 3 and also for the Xbox 360. It's Armored Core 4.
That's right.
And I don't, is this really the fourth one? Because it's
apparently, well, From Software, the guys who developed this, they they did Chrome Hounds, Armored Core, they do all these kind of mech games. And I gotta say, I'm just so sick of these mech games.
I used to love Armored Core. I used to love it on the older consoles. I thought it was a great game. I love giant robot games, and yes, as we've entered into this next generation, I've been continually let down. That Mobile Suit Gundam, what a piece of crap that was.
The thing is, part of me, it's like now you see these games and you can just have, regular characters causing all this destruction. And part of the fun of these mech games is just, I would think on the next one they just blow you away with the destruction.
Well, they give you this amazing intro in this game as well. It's just incredible what they sort of allude to.
No, but you get into this, and like Chrome Hounds, I was disappointed because there was so much strategy on top of it. It was so slow paced.
And the single players sucked.
Yeah, these vast rolling fields where there's nothing to do. This one at least is a little faster paced. You got your boosters. You can sort of boost around as much as you want.
Yeah.
And it is a little more action packed, but the missions they're so short too. I feel like they're just like a minute or two and boring.
There's no structure to the story really. You don't really get a sense that you're progressing through it.
It's two boring factions though, Vic, and it's the future where no one knows what's going on.
I know. You have to customize your core and put different paint schemes and emblems and stuff like that on it, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, there's different schematics, right?
Yeah, and you earn new schematics so you can unlock new mechs, basically. And you can go online and challenge people and fight online.
Multiplayer, I think, is very basic.
It is.
A couple, it's like a couple maps. You can just sort of, throw people in there. It's kind of like deathmatch with mechs.
Totally. And it's not even as fun as Virtual On was back in the day.
Well, where's like the co-op and kind of the common mission, the different type of mission types, defending, bases and stuff. This thing it really sucks.
Well, especially when you can look back on the Xbox and think back to the Mech Assault games, both 1 and 2. So far for me, those have been the best mech experiences that I've had.
I'm kind of bored with mech games in general. Because next gen, you can do better storytelling, you can have characters, and now it's just these big hulking pieces of metal that can blow up buildings. It doesn't work for me.
And your point as well about destroying the environments when you play a game like Crackdown, even, which has kind of got a cartoony kind of thing, you feel like you've got more power as that little dude that can also drive a vehicle. Just jumping around from building in this giant, enormous robot.
Where's I want the big mushroom cloud, and I want to just feel like you're just, ripping through buildings.
The streets and stuff like that too, like the cities that you're doing all of this death and destruction in, they're deserted. There's no real sense of like they've got lots of people running around.
I had more fun with a game like War of the Monsters on the PS2, where you'd be able to destroy buildings and throw things around and stuff, and you want to be a mech that's picking up cars, and you want to be like that Transformers movie. You see some of the CG
that
shots
Transformers game better be good.
Yeah, that's what you want. That Transformers. I have some hope because that could be a great mech game if they really blow that out. But this thing, is one of the worst games I've played so far this year.
I get the sense that you're writing off the whole giant robot mech kind of genre. I'm not. I still have faith. I still have hope. Mobile Suit Gundam almost destroyed me. This game isn't much better. It's a little bit more fun than that game.
It's kind of bombed out, a little bit like this building.
Yeah, it is a little bit like this. Actually looks like a set piece right from the game. That's why we chose it. But honestly, Armored Core, it literally put me to sleep. I fell asleep playing this game, but I didn't hate the game. It was definitely a step up from Mobile Suit Gundam, but it's definitely not as good as previous Armored Core games. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
You got to be below 5 on something like this. I was really disappointed. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10.
A 4 out of 10?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. On the positive side, the game does feature some online play. You can customize your mechs in millions of different ways. And the action is much more fast-paced than some of those plodding robot games we've played recently.
On the negative side, there is online play, but I don't know who'd want to play it. There's not much in the way of modes, and there weren't many people playing online when we checked. The actual single-player missions are really short, and there's not a big sense of destruction in the environment. And the gameplay doesn't really have much next-gen to it. I mean, there's really nothing that you're doing here that you couldn't have done on a previous system. Someone's got to shake up the next-gen mech combat genre.
All right, so first-person shooters on the PSP, not always a very enjoyable experience. No dual analog thumbstick, always a drag to have to deal with aiming and pointing and running in the right direction and taking care of bad guys. But Call of Duty Roads to Victory actually does things pretty well. It's actually a pretty decent playing first-person shooter on the PSP. The game's been developed by Amaze Entertainment in Seattle, and those guys have been doing some pretty good work on the handheld systems over the last little while. I'm impressed by the visual look of the game. The speed is actually pretty solid. It keeps a decent frame rate throughout the experience. It's more of the same kind of gameplay that we've played in like Call of Duty 3 and the previous Call of Duties. I do like the fact that you get to play as Canadian troops in the game, just like in Call of Duty 3. And so far, I've found this to be the most enjoyable World War II shooter on the handhelds. Obviously, there's room for improvement, and if they do a PSP revision and actually give us some better 3D control, that'll be great. But until that time, I don't mind playing this Call of Duty on the PSP. Call of Duty Roads to Victory, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. All right, well, stick around. We have more giant robot destruction coming up after the break. We've got Earth Defense Force 2017.
That's right.
And it also features environments just like this. Buried Treasure is brought to you by Rogers Video. The experience starts here. One of the most popular genres from a while ago were the adventure games that LucasArts put out. They were a big manufacturer of great adventure games. Well, that genre has kind of died over the years, but one company that's still making great ones is Funcom. Their latest was Dreamfall: The Longest Journey, and this is a true classic. It's a sequel to the original Longest Journey, which came out many years ago. The game stars Zoe Castillo to begin with, and you follow her adventure as she travels through this futuristic Casablanca, complete with robotic monkeys that she has as a little friend, kind of like Teddy from AI. It's the same guy that did the voice, by the way, little known fact there. Anyways, the gameplay is just great, and it's mostly because of the storytelling. The interactive fiction in this game is something to be seen. It is really, really good. Some of the action is a little bit dry. It's definitely not as fun and you know, pick up and play as something like Beyond Good and Evil or Legend of Zelda or anything like that. But it really is a massive, very involving story. This is a classic whether you play it on the PC or the Xbox. It's Dreamfall: The Longest Journey. Hey, welcome back. We've got another giant robot mechanization, lots of destruction type game. It's Earth Defense Force. Is it Earth Defense Forces?
Earth Defense Force 2017.
Earth Defense Force 2017.
Exactly.
I love that year. It's
EDF. It's lots of crazy action in this. This is sort of like, to me, it's kind of like Starship Troopers meets like Lost Planet. I mean, it's got, you know, third-person action game. It's all about destruction.
It's very
wanton destruction.
It's very much an arcade game too.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly, I felt like I was playing an Xbox Live arcade game, and that's where I think this game should have been sold.
It's only $40.
Well, there you go.
It's cheaper.
It's a little bit cheaper.
You know, they realize that it's not a lot of depth to it. And I think there's something to be said for not trying to add a lot of artifice around it. It's just straight action.
It's just blast everything that you can.
I mean, it's like, you know, it's a little mindless in that way. It's like 150 weapons. And so they all sort of do the same thing. They just, you know, blow stuff up. But there's pretty good destruction of the environment.
There's so much stuff. Yeah, I mean, the buildings fall, the people are, the bugs, a lot of bugs. And you just blow the crap out of them. And then I actually was getting kind of, my mind was getting numbed by all of that. It was just like, oh my God, I can't shoot one more of these giant ants. And then the robots came. and I was like, oh, okay, well now it's getting
more
cool.
to destroy.
I like the Iron Giant-esque.
No, that's the thing is, I mean, it's sort of, it's over the top, it's fun, then they add in the vehicle stuff. I mean, the vehicles don't control very well. No. I mean, I found that the helicopter doesn't really work that well. So I was kind of disappointed with that.
You got them. They threw them in. It's like a grab bag of every type of
tanks,
action.
Helicopters. I mean, it's just, you know, total, you know, balls to the wall action. I think it does that well, and it's cheaper. So this is not a game I think, you know, is going to inspire a lot of other people. But I like that it's very pure. It knows what it is.
A little split screen action as well, which we're not seeing too much of in multiplayer anymore. Everybody's just throwing in the single player screen and expecting people to go on live. Now this doesn't have online multiplayer, which is kind of a disappointing deal.
Yeah, I guess, but it's like some games. You know, every game doesn't need to have multiplayer. and I love that they're charging less for it.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, oh, we're going to have multiplayer, and then we're going to charge $60 for this.
True,
It's like,
and
know
all
what you
kinds
are.
of micro transactions for
it's
levels
crap.
that should be
It's like, I
included
love
anyway.
that people are experimenting with, cheaper games that are simpler. And as you said, I mean, maybe it should have been $20 instead of $40.
And I actually kind of dug the sense of humor around it all as well. I mean, it didn't take itself seriously. It plays like a Godzilla-type movie almost,
They're invading. They're coming.
Yeah, lots of voices. They keep yelling the same things over and over again. You get it over the newscast.
That's part of the fun of it.
I agree. I mean, it's so over the top and stupid that it gets funny after a while.
I can't believe my eyes. A huge spaceship is floating above the city. It looks like something out of a science fiction movie.
Exactly. So I think this is a game, that's forgettable, but it's like if you're looking for something to play for a weekend, I think people actually might have fun with this. It was surprising. I mean, this is not a game
you were going to hate this
very well known. No.
I agree. I actually enjoyed the game. I thought it was quite satisfying in its cheesiness.
So what are you going to give this one?
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 as well. On the positive side, this game has a lot of balls-to-the-wall action. There's co-op play, something we don't see a lot in games these days. I love that this game is very focused. It knows what it is. It's all about action and destruction. And visually, the game actually looks pretty good, and I love the sense of destruction in the environment.
On the negative side, the voiceovers might start to get a bit irritating for you. The vehicles are difficult to control, and I don't know, did you find there was like one too many ants in this sucker or what? Hey, a brand new game based on a movie from Luc Besson, the guy that made The Fifth Element, is coming up after the break. Hey, I've been playing Meteos Disney Magic on the DS, and it's a fun game. It definitely is. It has lost a little of the magic of the first Meteos game, which is a bit weird because you'd think that they would add a whole bunch of new stuff to the gameplay, and they really haven't. They have added the ability to kind of move shapes and blocks and stuff like that over horizontally. It's not just sort of doing the vertical matchup now. And it's interesting to see how the different gravities of the different worlds that you travel to in the game kind of affect the way that the game actually plays. I like all that stuff. The Disney trappings kind of feel a bit tacked on to me. I mean, you get Toy Story levels, you get Pirates of the Caribbean, Nightmare Before Christmas. It just doesn't feel that much different from the last Meteos game. So if you played that one to death and you were satisfied with that, I don't know how much new stuff you're going to enjoy here. And even though this Meteos game isn't as fresh as the original one, I still liked it a lot. I'm giving Meteos Disney Magic 8 out of 10. Hey, welcome back. We're talking about a CG movie. It's actually a half film, half CG movie from Luc Besson that got turned into a video game from Atari. It's called Arthur and the Invisibles, otherwise known as Arthur and the Mini-Boys.
Mini-Boys, exactly, in Europe.
Yeah, because Arthur actually meets these creatures called the Mini-Boys.
That's right, the kid sort of goes into, real live-action kid that goes into the CG world and becomes a CG character.
It's the kid from Finding Neverland.
Oh, Freddie Highmore.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's got an all-star cast. I mean, Madonna, Snoop Dogg, all these guys. I mean, they're in the... That's an all-star cast in someone's book, I guess.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
But they're in the movie. Of course, they're not in the video game. Actually, one of the funny things in the game is you'll see that their voices are in the cutscenes.
Yeah.
They're from the movie, and then you go to the game. There's like a Madonna impersonator, I think. Yeah, well, it wasn't them.
Are you sure it's not the impersonator in the cutscenes?
No, I think it's the real. I think it's the real actor.
That was what was weird to me.
Yeah.
It's like everything is cut out, and then just this voice pops in.
Welcome to the land of the Mini-Boy.
The idea is you get to play these 3 different characters.
Yeah.
So they all have different unique abilities. The gameplay in this, third-person action game, but it's all... I was surprised, again, a kid's movie.
Yeah.
Kids game, it's all about these, complicated puzzles and these, you're pushing all these, blocks all the time. And, block-pushing puzzles, I'm done with. Yeah.
I'm not embarrassed to say. I got stuck. Because you have to activate all of these different sort of floor lever keys to open doors.
It's so wrong for the audience. This is a kid's movie.
You know what, though? I think if you look at the Nintendo games, though, I mean, they do it right. But they make games that appeal to kids, but adults find lots and lots of layers and cool things to enjoy.
I think the puzzle design was just so poor in this game. I mean, graphically, it looks pretty mediocre to me.
You can unlock a secret message from Luc Besson later on in the game.
Reason to buy right there.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy.
It's just not something I would recommend people to pick up and buy.
Yeah, unless you're an enormous fan or some kind of Luc Besson
Those huge fans of Arthur's and the Invisibles, right? Which I haven't seen the movie either, so
I don't think it came and went at the box office.
Exactly, I think so, yeah. So
maybe the fans in France. are grooving on
For the
this.
international viewers, this might be the one. So what are you going to give this one?
I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Didn't hate it.
And I'm going to give it a 4.5.
On the positive side, you get 3 different characters to play as. As in every platform-hopping action-adventure game out there, there's lots of stuff to collect and unlock in this one. And if you're a fan of the film, there's all kinds of cutscenes and pieces from the movie to enjoy, including a message from Luc Besson, which Jeff was really thrilled about.
And on the negative side, yet another game with a bunch of block-pushing puzzles. How boring. The voiceovers in the game are absolutely terrible and really annoying to listen to. And most of the puzzles and level design aren't conducive to a fun gameplay experience, including a lot of invisible walls in the environment.
All right, today in Hardware, we're talking about something that I've been looking for a long time because I'm very lucky and privileged. I get to play the Wii on a giant screen TV, but I sit very far back away from it.
Not all of us have the plush Victor Lucas estate,
I'm sure you have a big TV that you play the Wii on. I'm sure you do. But I had the cord all hanging down on my sensor bar thing, and it was driving me crazy.
And that's the annoying thing with the Wii is that little, black cable that you have to, you have to connect to the Wii. And the thing is, it's really just for power. It doesn't really send anything back to the Wii. So someone had to come up with something that would be wireless.
And here's a $25 plus version of how to do that. And it's basically just it's a wireless sensor bar from a company called Acid Tech.
Yeah.
Spelled A-S-I-D.
Acid Tech?
Acid Tech. It might be Acid Tech. It might be Mr. Acid has come up with this technology.
That's right,
you never know. You turn it on, put it down, and it works.
Now, how is the battery? Does it last a long time?
Battery is pretty good, except for the fact that it doesn't auto shut off, and I forgot to turn it off every single time I used it, and that's my only real beef with it, other than the fact that the battery compartment on the back of the thing just took forever to come off. And
My God, Victor.
I know.
Well, you got to handle that, right?
You got to complain about something.
Mr. Acid's got to fix that.
Yeah, Mr. Acid has got to get back in the shop and get that fixed. Are you going to recommend Mr. Acid's wireless sensor bar?
Yeah. I'm not going to recommend it because I think there's better stuff out there.
I agree. I think this could be done a little bit better. Stick around, we're coming right back with Versus. We have 2 CG movie games going head-to-head. We've got TMNT against...
And Meet the Robinsons.
That's right. It seems like it's our theme today, CG movie games. What's going on?
They're everywhere. I don't know. What's going on? They're taking over the world.
Who programmed this show? Welcome to the Hit List. Here are 5 of our favorite games based on CG animated movies. Number 5 is Cars. Number 4, Monster House. Number 3, Madagascar. Number 2, Ice Age 2, The Meltdown. And number 1, Tron 2.0. And yeah, we know that was kind of cheating. We just wanted to say, Tron!
This spring, there have been 2 big CG movies that have come out, TMNT and Meet the Robinsons, and of course, there are 2 video games based on those films.
Of course. Would there ever be a big hit CG movie without a video game? Is that even possible anymore?
But would it be a good game? That's the question.
That's true. Those are harder to come by.
They're harder to come by, but I had some hope for the TMNT game because the movie is actually directed by Kevin Monroe, who used to work at Shiny, and he designed Wild 9 back in the day.
That's awesome.
Not a great game, Wild 9.
I thought that was a pretty cool game.
It was cool.
It had some pretty innovative ideas back on the old PlayStation 1.
Exactly. No, and 3D, and a lot of sort of 3D platformers, sort of
some psyops kind of manipulating kind of stuff.
Power and that great music, right?
Yeah, great music by our man Tommy T. All right,
that's right.
Well, let's talk about the graphics on these 2 games.
Yeah, so I think I played them both on the Xbox 360. The TMNT game is based on the Prince of Persia engine,
obviously.
And the graphics. The game moves really fast, and I like sort of the speed of the game. The graphics, though, feel very sort of current gen to me. They look okay, but they don't look that great.
I think it's kind of a problem. Meet the Robinsons suffers from this as well, where they have a game that's ported to every damn system, including cell phones and watches and everything now. Yeah. So they're using the same assets all over the place.
And I think they can just take the PS2 game and make it in high def and say this is what people expect. And I don't,
no.
You can't do that, especially when you're going to charge $10 more.
Because a square block cardboard box looks like a square cardboard blocks, even if it's rendered with more resolution. Not satisfactory at all. I did like some of the artistic touches that they did in Meet the Robinson, like Wilbur has like a star map underneath his floor, he can look through the glass there.
I think actually Meet the Robinsons, it matches the look of the film a little bit more too. Technically I'd actually sort of give the edge in the graphics to Meet the Robinsons, I think.
I would too, except for the fact that I like the animations and the fast and,
the speed of turtles.
Visual design, not necessarily in visual fidelity. I would would give it to
Okay,
TMNT.
but what about the audio? What do you think between the audio of the two?
Audio, I think I like the turtle, the snappy little pattern that the guys have, all the different turtle, comments and
Master
things like
Splinter
that.
popping up.
Yeah, I thought all that was pretty cool. The beat 'em up sound effects and like the inane things that the enemies all say.
That's
pretty
I mean, for me,
stupid.
Turtles, I thought,
It could have been better.
Some of the voiceovers were really pretty terrible, and I thought like a lot of it.
And they
like,
just seem to just drop in every once in a while too.
Yeah, we also
there's
had a
no rhyme
problem
or
with the
reason.
360. It's like the voices were like a little softer than the music, and it was sort of like you'd hear these guys, and there was one level where sort of Michelangelo is walking around, he's got this sort of fake head piece on, and sort of there's supposed to be the sound like he's sort of speaking through this sort of mask, but it sounds like really, really dopey. And at least Meet the Robinsons, I thought, they got the real actors. They had Adam West. They had all those guys in there.
You've met Adam West. I've met Adam West too.
Yeah, Adam West is great.
He's a hero.
No time to talk. I've got a stack of pizzas that have to make it to Andromeda in the next half hour.
I have to give the edge again to Meet the Robinsons.
Yeah, I think technically Meet the Robinsons has it, and there's a lot more, interesting characters. And one thing that I did find refreshing is I didn't recognize every single voice that was in there.
Right. Now, what about the gameplay though between the two? Because I definitely for this one I absolutely have to give the edge to Turtles.
Yeah, the Turtles was fun. I mean, there's definitely problems with it. The camera can't keep up with the action half the time, and honestly, there's jumps and things that you have to do, like in Prince of Persia.
Right.
But you don't get the rewind, and you don't get, you don't have the abilities that you have in Prince of Persia.
But it resets right away, and I mean, it's a pretty easy game. I mean, on the 360, you win achievements. Literally, if you're just like pulling out your weapon, you get 30 achievement points, and it's like every level you get 30 or 40 achievement points. So it's really fast moving. I agree with you though. I mean, the AI and the enemy AI is terrible.
Come on,
I mean, it's these guys with lead pipes just sort of walking around.
It was as good in Double Dragon. It's like they took the code from some 1980s beat 'em up and just slapped that right into this
and the
game.
game is not all combat. It's split between. It's sort of like Prince of Persia. There's sort of these acrobatic areas, and
which
then
I
you get
like
to the combat
more
area.
at this stage.
Much better than Meet the Robinsons because I just found this game. I mean, it's just so silly. Like you're playing the opening level, and like all the challenges taken out where there's not even a jump button. Wilbur's just sort of jumping as you go up to the ledge and stuff like that.
I mean, it works in Zelda. It works in Zelda because there's so many other things that you can do, and there's so many cool different gadgets that you earn in Zelda. And one thing that is nice about Meet the Robinsons is you do get to build your own. You disassemble stuff and then build your own sort of creations. I like that, but if you're not going to deliver gameplay that's as good as Zelda, don't do stupid things like take away the jump button.
Meet the Robinsons, even though I like the graphics and sound better, gameplay I have to give an edge to Turtles, which, as you said, is not great. But it's the better of the two.
It's more fun. So I agree. Overall, TMNT.
TMNT is the one for me.
Me too. What are you going to give TMNT?
TMNT, I'm going to give a 7 today.
You're going to give it a 7? I'm going to give it a 7 as well. What are you going to give Meet the Robinsons?
Meet the Robinsons, I'm going to give a 5.
I'm going to give that a 5.5.
Okay, well, those are the two CG movie games, Meet the Robinsons and Turtles, but I think we both agree Turtles is the better purchase.
Today on the show, Jeff and I took a look at Armored Core 4. You get some fast-paced mech action in this one, but once again, this doesn't feel like a next-gen mech game. Earth Defense Force 2017. The co-op play is pretty fun, and the game doesn't take itself too seriously, but I thought there were too many ants. Arthur and the Invisibles. You get 3 characters from the movie to play as, but the gameplay is pretty routine. In Versus, it was Disney's Meet the Robinsons. Assembling the different inventions is pretty cool, and Adam West is in there, but the gameplay overall is pretty dry. Against TMNT, the fast and fluid gameplay is a lot of fun, but the game does have some pretty stupid AI enemies and some camera problems. In the end, TMNT beat up the Robinsons in this Versus. The Rogers Video Game of the Week is Meteos Disney Magic for the DS.
On the positive side, Armored Core 4 features some online play, which is...
But you say a positive thing is it has online play. But it's not good online play.
Well, it has online play. There are fans out there.
You're grasping.
There are fans of robot games that like to fight each other.